Hi everyone, it's Movie Man with you again. In this video, we're going to talk about the 2014 movie, It Follows. A shabby and worried girl named Annie runs out of the house into the street, where she stops right in the road, looking closely at the house. The neighbors and the girl's father try to find out what happened, but Annie claims she is fine. Soon she returns to the house to get her car keys and drives off. Annie stops at the beach in the dark and talks to her father on the phone. She tells him that she loves him and her mom, as if saying goodbye to her parents. During the night, the girl is brutally murdered. Next, a girl named Jay enjoys swimming in the pool. She is watched by two neighborhood boys who hide behind bushes as soon as the girl notices them. Afterwards, she is going on a date to the movie theater with a guy named Hugh. While waiting in line, the girl suggests playing a game. The companion must visually choose a person in whose place he would like to be, and Jay must guess who Hugh has chosen. The guy chose a boy with his parents. As in childhood, it is not necessary to go to the toilet, because it can be done right on the spot. Next, it's Jay's turn. She informs Hugh that she has made a choice and now he has to guess. The guy points to a girl in a yellow dress, but Jay can't see anyone with a similar description. Suddenly, Hugh gets worried and asks Jay to get back in the car with him. The couple spend the rest of the evening at a cafe. The next day, Jay shares her observations with her sister. She noticed that the guy was behaving unusually and thinks that he was uncomfortable. In the evening, the girl meets Hugh again. The couple makes love, after which the guy uses a cloth with chloroform to make Jay unconscious. Soon she wakes up in an abandoned room tied to a chair, with Hugh standing behind her and apologizing to her. The guy calms the girl down by informing her that he is not going to kill her. After Hugh begins to tell that when they were making love, he gave the girl something. It can take the form of any familiar or unfamiliar person, but only the curse holder can see it. Hugh is interrupted when he notices a naked girl approaching. Before leaving, he tells a terrified Jay that sleeping with someone else is necessary for survival. Meanwhile, Jay's sister is playing cards with friends. She notices Hugh's car. The guy pulls over to let Jay out, and before driving away warns her not to let the creature touch herself. Next, neighbors notice an ambulance with police outside Jay's family home, and meanwhile the girl tells the staff what happened during the night. A few days later, Jay nervously examines herself until suddenly a ball hits the window. The girl discovers no one. Listening to the teacher, Jay notices a woman in white clothes walking towards her class. The frightened girl gathers her things and hurriedly leaves the classroom without asking the teacher's permission. Moving towards the exit, Jay turns back and sees the intimidating woman again. She ignored all questions, and what's more, the other students didn't realize who Jay was talking to. Eventually, she escapes and arrives at her sister's workplace. There, the girl talks about the old woman and relays Hugh's words. Kelly is skeptical of everything, and Paul, who is in love with Jay, tries to find out more details from the girl. Eventually, Paul proposes to spend the night together. The guy settles down on the couch. Jay can't sleep and goes down to the first floor to Paul's place. He offers to sit with him. They start reminiscing funny stories from their childhood until suddenly there is a loud sound. Jay asks Paul to check the source of the sound. He finds a broken window in the kitchen and then goes to wake up Kelly to call the police. While doing so, Jay goes into the kitchen where he finds a half-naked, creepy girl who was taking her time walking straight at Jay. She runs away and locks herself in her room. Soon, Paul and Kelly ask to open the door. Jay opens it for them and starts crying. At some point, the door is tried to be opened. It was Yara who had also stayed the night at Jay and Kelly's house. Suddenly, a tall man appears behind her back and walks into the room right behind Yara. No one but Jay saw him. The girl gets out of the house through the window and rides away on her bike. She stops and sits on a swing, soon to be found by her worried companions. Jay asks Kelly not to tell her mom about it. Next, Jay's neighbor and classmate Greg approaches the group, who not for the first time notices the girl's strange behavior, decides to find out what's wrong with her. Paul answers for her and says that someone broke into her house. In the morning, the group drives up to Hugh's house. Inside, Jay notices a clever arrangement of cans and bottles, so Hugh could have known the creature was coming. Paul finds a photo of the boy, and thanks to his uniform, Jay realizes what school Hugh went to. They decide to go there to find more information about the suddenly missing man. The teens manage to find out that the guy's real name is Jeff. Next, they head to his parents' house. There, Jay meets the guy's mom, who says that her son is home now and invites the guys to come in. Soon they have a conversation with Jeff. He informs them that the best option for the girl is for her to sleep with someone else, and then maybe it will get off. But if the creature kills Jay, then it will start hunting Jeff again, and so on until it gets to the man who is at the very beginning of the death chain. The guy apologizes to the girl and makes it clear that he had no choice. At one point, he notices a girl walking behind Jay. Jeff gets worried until the rest of the group reports seeing her too. Greg decides to take Jay to the country house to buy time since the creature walks quite slowly. In the car, Kelly asks Jay if she will pass the curse on, but the girl doesn't know. The group makes it to the house where Jay lays a makeshift security alarm. In the morning, Greg goes into the barn to retrieve the gun and teach Jay how to use it. Later, the teens relax on the beach. Kelly notices a strand of hair on Jay's head rising unnaturally. Moments later, she begins to ask for help. Paul hits something with a chair and it pushes the young man aside, letting Jay go. The teens run to the barn where the girl grabs a gun. After several failed attempts, she manages to hit the creature in the guise of a young girl. Suddenly, the body rises again and Jay closes the door. It transformed into a tall man to try to kick down the locked door. The creature managed to break part of the door, but there was no one in the gap but Greg, who was angry about the broken door. Soon he moves away. Jay tries to find out where he is, but suddenly the creature has taken the form of a boy to climb into the small hole. The girl makes her escape by unlocking the gate and makes it to the car. The group asks her to stop, but a panicked Jay doesn't respond to anything. The girl notices a Jeep pulling out onto the road and roughly swerves into a cornfield where she loses consciousness. The lady wakes up in the hospital surrounded by friends and family who have fallen asleep. Jay begins to hear footsteps, which makes him very nervous. At night, when everyone has left, Greg and Jay make love. 3 days later, Jay asks the guy how he is doing. He says that no one has shown up in that time. The guy thinks it won't show up. After some time, Greg visits a neighbor, but Kelly informs him that she has locked herself in her room and won't open up to anyone. They ask him about the creature, but Greg never saw anyone. He also lets them know that he doesn't believe something exists. During the night, a sleepy Jay notices a man walking in white clothes. He approaches Greg's house and breaks the window with a rock, then climbs inside. The girl starts to call the guy. When the answering machine comes on, Jay immediately leaves the house and runs to help. She climbs into the house and finds the teen's mom on the second floor. The woman was banging on the door non-stop. The girl tried to shout to Greg, but he didn't hear and opened the door. Immediately after, the creature attacked the young man. Jay looks into the room and sees Greg, who is already dead, with Ono sitting on him. The frightened girl gets into a car and drives away. The car was followed by the creature in Greg's form. Jay mourns the guy's death and stops in the woods where she goes to sleep on the hood. In the morning, she notices 3 guys on a speedboat. The girl takes off some of her clothes and enters the water, probably to sleep with one of them. Immediately afterward, she returns home. The next day, Paul knocks on Jay's locked room. They discuss why the girl chose Greg. Jay assumed that nothing would happen to the guy since he often acted bravely and could stand up for himself. Paul offers his services, but the girl turns him down. He then asks her to trust him and go with him to the place where they first kissed as children. The group leaves, and Jay notices a naked old man on the roof of his house. The teens make it to the pool where Paul wonders how long they have to wait for Ono to arrive. Jay suggests that a few hours will be enough. The group begins to prepare a deadly electric trap for the entity. The girl enters the water and the teens freeze in anticipation. Outside, it begins to rain heavily. At one point, Jay announces in an alarmed voice that the entity is inside. It just stands there, looking at the girl without entering the water. Suddenly, the entity starts moving around. Jay begins to panic, and at one point it throws a device into the water. The teens realize that Jay may be trapped herself. Paul grabs a gun and asks Jay to orient him. The boy shoots and accidentally hits Yara's leg. Kelly throws a rag over the creature and Paul gets hit in the head, causing it to fall into the water. Jay tried to get out of the water, but she was grabbed and pulled by the leg by the creature. The girl was pulled out after Paul fired another shot. The group managed to stop the creature, at least temporarily. Later, Jay agrees to pass the curse to Paul, and in the afternoon, the guy stops by the harlots, probably thinking about passing the curse. Next, the pair visit Yara in the hospital, who is on the mend. A few days later, Paul and Jay walk holding hands, and that's where the movie ends. That's it for today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching.